Hello, here to share another story. All right, this one is one of my faves that I read this summer. I really enjoyed it. It's called The Parker Inheritance by Varian Johnson. It is a middle grade novel, so it would be good for 5th grade and up. Even actually 4th grade could do this too. And I do think some 8th and 9th graders would enjoy it as well. I know it kind of has a little bit of a middle grade cover, but it's really interesting. So if you don't know, The Westing Game is probably one of my all-time favorite books that I've ever read in my whole entire life. Like, I vividly remember reading this story when I was in elementary school, and I loved every minute of it. What I love about The Parker Inheritance is this book sort of gives lots of nods to the Westing Game. In fact, the characters in it actually read the book. And some of the clues and the mystery that are set up in the Westing Game kind of help them figure out how to figure out the clues and the mystery in this book. So I love that. So you're going to read The Parker Inheritance, and then you're going to have to go back and read the Westing Game if you haven't ever read that, because you got to. You're going to love it. Okay, so Parker Inheritance is about a girl, Candace, who she and her mother go stay back where her mother, go for the summer, go live where her mother grew up in the South, in her grandmother's old house. Her grandmother has passed away. She loved her grandmother dearly. Her grandmother really understood her, would give her lots of puzzles since she was a kid to figure out, and lots of kind of riddles and things like that, and so they got along really well. Her grandmother, years before, made a sort of fatal mistake of trying to figure out this inheritance puzzle. Somebody with the last name Parker sort of sent the city a message that said, if you can figure out the clues to this, then you can find this big bunch of money and you will have it. And so she wanted to help her city out, and so she tried to figure it out, and in doing so ended up digging up these tennis courts and causing a big ruckus, and was sort of, people thought she was crazy, and she ended up having to sort of leave her job and all that kind of stuff. So Candace and her mother come back to her grandmother's house, and Candace finds the letter about the Parker inheritance, and decides that maybe her grandmother has left her this so she can figure it out, sort of clear her grandmother's name or show that she wasn't crazy, and still find the inheritance and help the city. She gets help from the kid across the street whose name is Brandon, who they get along. They're both big kind of bookworms, and they start to solve this puzzle, and it takes them into the history of this small town. Some years before, when this town was segregated, and so it gives you the backstory of what segregation was like in the South at this time, particularly when we had schools for white kids and schools for black kids, and towns that were segregated, and how that all played out. So there's this whole wonderful historical background, and we sort of see the history of social justice and civil rights all sort of come together as we're trying to figure out the mystery of this story. It's so cool. It's such a good book, and there's lots of cool clues. And I don't know about you, but if you're a mystery reader, sometimes you can figure things out as you're reading. Not this one, my friends, not this one. Okay, so that's the other thing that I love about this book, is it always keeps you guessing. And if you're a puzzle person, or if you like to try to figure stuff out, then your brain is working overtime trying to figure it out. And it's just a great story. It's also just sort of a story about family and how that shapes your identity, of who you are and what you want to stand up for as you move forward in life, as you sort of grow up and start to figure things out, what things are important to you, and what do you want to fight for, and what do you believe in. So good. Loved it. Loved every second of it. You got to check it out. The Parker Inheritance.